Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Katha. Sad Sangat Ji, the Shabad we're going to try and explore today is from Ang number 473 from the Sri Gurdwara Sahib and forms a part of Asa Divar. In this Shabad, Guru Nanak Dev Ji talks about the importance of women and their importance in our life, in the society, as well as on our spiritual path. It is essential to gain an understanding of the fact that in the 15th, 16th century medieval India, women were largely devalued, and it was a general understanding or consensus within people that women were inferior to men. It was the work of the 10 Gurus and the Bani that was revolutionary in elevating the status of women in India.
Mehla Pehla, Pande Jamiye, Pande Nimiye, Pand Mangan Veao.
Pand is a word that's repeated multiple times in the Shabad, and Pand means Istri, means woman. So in the first line, Guruji is trying to tell us that we all, whether we're a man or a woman, come from a woman, Pand Jamiye. Pand Nimiye. Nimiye means to give form, give life form. So not only does a woman give us birth, but a woman's body is well equipped or blessed by Vaheguru with the right environment, with the right nourishment to turn a cell into a full-fledged human being who then grows up and becomes an essential part of the society. Pand Mangan Vyao. And to a woman, a man is engaged and married.
Pando hove dosti, pando chale rao.
Now, this line, we can look at it in two different ways. On a more surface level, Pando hove dosti means a woman becomes his friend, Pando chalera, and through a woman, the path of the next generation is laid. But if we look at it at a more deeper spiritual level, again going back to history, the understanding in medieval India was if a man wanted to obtain salvation, if a man wanted to walk on the path of liberation, he had to distance himself from women. Women were seen as temptresses, as seductresses, and the company of a woman was thought to take man away from God. So a lot of sages, monks, would leave their grihasth jivan, would leave the household in order to meditate and obtain God. But all the gurus really emphasized on the importance of grihasth jivan, grihasth life, and for men and women to be involved in their household. And so when, in that way, if we look at Pando Hove Doste, if a man and a woman are friends, are harmonious, are at peace with each other, they can share Gurmat wisdom. A husband and wife can share Gurmat wisdom, learn and grow together, and Pando Chalera, and through that, future generations can be enlightened, and this wisdom can be passed down to future generations.
Pand Moa, Pand Paliya, Pand Hove Bandhan.
So when a woman dies, man seeks another woman. Pand Hove Bandhan. Now the word Bandhan can be looked at in two different ways. Bandhan is related to what we know as Bandhan today, and Bandhan can either mean relationship or also mean something that you're tied to, something that you're bound to. So when we look at Bandhan, we understand that through women come all of man's relationships. Through women come everything a man is bound to, but also Pand Mua, Pand Palye, Pand Hove Bandhan, that a man is forever bound to a woman.
So kya manda akhiye jitte jame rajan.
So why speak negatively about her through her kings are born? Again, in the society during the Guru's times, women were seen as being inferior to men. A word used for women was pashu, which some of us would understand as meaning animal. Now, the word pashu comes from the phrase pachhadya hoya, which means lagging behind. So people used to think that women lag behind in intellect as well as the spiritual ability to either be leaders of any kind, whether it's a king, whether it's a spiritual leader, whether it's a sage, whether it's a prophet. People used to say, if you look at the examples around, all of these great leaders have been men. So that's sort of that sort of supports the idea, the fact that women are inferior to men. And Guru Nanak Dev Ji said something very contradictory to this. He said, the woman that a leader comes from, a Raja comes from, be it a spiritual leader, be it a leader of the people in terms of society, the woman is just as great as the king that she gives birth to, because all of the woman's energy has actually gone into nourishing that child, giving birth to it, and raising that child.
Pando hi pand upajay, pandai baj na koi.
So from a woman is born. Without a woman, there is no one.
Nanak pandai bahra eko sacha soe.
Only the true God, only the divine is without a woman, isn't born from a woman.
Jit mukh sada salahiye, paga rati char, nanak te mukh ujla, tit sachai darbar.
These last two lines remind me of a story of Guru Nanak Dev Ji's childhood, where Guru Nanak Dev Ji refused to wear the janeu that he was offered. Now, janeu was a sacred thread offered to men and male children of the top 3 classes. So the society was divided into 4 classes, Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Shudra in that order, and only men of the top 3 classes were given the opportunity to wear janeu. So this excluded women and men from lower castes, all women and men from lower castes. And the idea behind wearing the janeu was that a child was offered knowledge of the scriptures and an opportunity to walk on the path of salvation. And Guru Nanak Dev Ji opposed this, as accepting this would mean accepting that women or lower castes cannot walk this path, cannot free themselves from the cycle of life and death. So Guru Nanak Dev Ji says, Jitmukh sada salaye, those mouths that always utter, always praise the Lord, Pagarati char, Nanak te mukh ujle, those faces are radiant in the court of the true Guru. So a lot of these were examples from the past, but what do these teachings mean to us today, and how relevant is this Bani to us today? We may have started walking away from practices like sati, the self-immolation of widows, and we may have started educating our women, but this Shabad and the Guru's teachings are just as relevant today as they were 500 years ago. Little things like celebrating the birth of a male child, and deep down, sometimes remorsing or even mourning the birth of a girl, especially if she's the 2nd, 3rd, 4th girl in a row. How many times we've heard on the birth of a 2nd, 3rd, 4th girl, chalo agli baar, or hai vichariyan de fir kudi ho gayi. Nobody's ever heard vichariyan de fir munda ho gaya. That's just such a bizarre concept. And it just goes on to show our understanding and our generational cultural conditioning in a way that no matter what happens, we will always favor the birth of a male child. There's a stark difference in how people speak to families with multiple sons compared to how people speak to families, almost out of pity, to people with multiple daughters. Punjab is a Sikh majority state, but unfortunately has one of the highest rates of female infanticide and feticide in all of India actually. But if we go back to our teachings, we can gain an understanding of what our Guru really wants from us. The beginning of Mool Mantra starts with Ik Onkar, which speaks of the oneness of God. All that is divine within you and me and everyone around us is one, is connected, and this divine does not have a gender assigned to it. Guruji says, Tu mera pita, tu hai mera mata. Sikhism itself is a feminine theology. Guru Sahib says, approach Vaheguru as a woman would approach her husband, with utter belief, kindness, love and faith. Is jag mein purak ek hai, there's only one male creator, our husband Lord, and all of us are his soul brides. Whether we take the physical form of a man or a woman, we're all brides here. Our gurus broke away from practices that hindered the evolution of society. Guru Amar Das Ji not only abolished sati, but also encouraged women to live their lives and to remarry should they wish to, something we still look down upon 500 years later. Today, in 2020, we still hesitate to educate our daughters, send them out to work or read. But 52 out of 146 preachers appointed by Guru Amar Das Ji in the mid-1500s were women. They were heads of congregation, they were teachers of Gurmat, and people others sought counsel in. Guru Gobind Singh Ji armed Sikh women the same way he armed Sikh men. Mai Pago, a woman who led 40 mukte to the battleground. Guruji also explicitly outlawed the practice of Kurimar, or the practice of killing a girl child, and to the extent that as Sikhs were not even allowed to associate with people who practice this. And looking at the reasons why we seek sons in the family, one of them is we think a son is going to take the family forward, take the family name forward. But as we learned earlier, Pando Chalera, without a woman, the future generations cannot come. So imagine if 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 15, hundreds of families in an area decide they don't want a daughter. What are we going to left with? Sons with no daughters to marry them to. And this might sound like a bizarre concept, but this is the reality in a lot of Indian villages, especially in Punjab and Haryana, where the males outnumber the females so much so that even in the neighboring villages there are no women for them to get married to. We say the sons will be the support system when we're older, but Guruji says again in Asa Divar, Kisnal Kiche Dosti Subject Chalna Ha, whom shall I be friends with, meaning whom shall I depend on if all of this world will pass me by. Our sons, daughters, wealth, and anything we have will pass us by. As we distance ourselves from cruel practices like infanticide and feticide, we sometimes don't understand ourselves why we still prefer a male child over a female. But this is just centuries of cultural conditioning that follows us generation after generation. Another reason why girl child is not favored is because she's seen as a burden on the family. And this is because of an ill practice called dowry. Rich or poor, this practice is still very much prevalent in our culture. Women are treated almost like properties, where the head of one family pays another family or the groom to almost take that responsibility off him, the responsibility of a girl. Guru Ram Das Ji tells us that the only dowry, the only wedding present that we need to worry about, be concerned about, is the gift of Naam, is the dowry of Naam. Guruji says, Har Prab Mere Babula, Har Devo Dan Me Dajo, Har Kapro, Har Soba Devo, Jit Savre Mera Kajo. And may the gift of Naam be given to all of our soul brides, and may the gift of Naam be our clothes, be our glory, and be what we accomplish all of our tasks through. And may we all learn to love our daughters, our women, our wives, our children a little more, respect our women a little more, and celebrate them a lot more. Sad Sangat ji, I would like to apologize for any mistakes I've made. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.